pour l'espagnol, ça ira pas. S'il est traduit en plusieurs langues, autant avoir la même couverture, la même présentation à chaque fois.
Oui, mais la première de couverture et la conception.
Jacqueline, thank you very much for talking to us in English. It's been very special to be here for a 3-day training, formation, here in Binanville, where you live. I wonder if you could talk in English a little about your views on mediation, because you often say, mediation, I don't know mediation, I don't understand it. Could you talk a little about that?
Well, first of all, I'm very happy to share with you this time, because talk about mediation, we need first to live mediation, to experiment mediation. It is a word which is very much used now. When I started to develop mediation, it was absolutely unknown in Europe. But in the United States and Canada, it was already developed as the famous conflict resolution. And when I found myself in charge of the creation of the first court mediation, the penal mediation, completely by chance, because I'm not, I don't come at all from the law world. I needed to invent it. And the Minister of Justice, Badinter at the time, who took this initiative to integrate mediation in the court, gave me cases of violence. He could have started by something a little softer, perhaps, cases a little softer, but immediately they were there was confrontation between two people who have tried so often physically to hurt one another. And I had no idea what to do, because my training is archaeology, ancient Greek archaeology, and the link between this experience and the archaeology was still unknown to me. But in fact, it comes naturally, because the archaeologue is digging to excavate the past. And I just found myself in the need to dig in the soul of the participant, to give them a chance through the excavation of their life, the possibility to search for a new way.
So you had the two people involved in the violent crimes meet with each other, with you? Is that what you did at the beginning?
Yes, yes, immediately.
How did you have the strength to be comfortable, to be in that space with them?
Well, I did not ask myself if I could be comfortable. I found myself with this responsibility, in a way, to integrate in justice something which seems to me very interesting. And when I got the first case, immediately, and I meet the two people, immediately I saw the image of the Greek tragedy. The Greek tragedy through which the Greeks have worked for a very long time, since mostly the beginning of the 5th century BC, to try to give a place to violence, to let us say the mess that we make of our life in our relationship. And I use the structure of Greek tragedy for mediation.
So no one would have known of that before. You
No.
did that. No.
Because I did not know it myself. It just came like that. I did not know anything. In law, I did not know anything.
But obviously the Minister of Justice was happy with your model, because it's been going since then, since...
No, but what happens is that immediately it works. It worked. And there was a lot of resolution, of transformation, and so on. Because it was all a process through the meeting of a time given to the two people to meet one another through, in fact, a frame, which was one of the Greek tragedy.
So you were able to allow the participants to express their suffering.
Yes.
Yeah.
The first, this conception of the Greek, of the tragedy, was based on 3 phases. You had first the phase of the accueil, the welcome
Yes.
of the two people,
Yes, yes.
to give them the space, each of them separately, to resume their claim, their conflict. And from there, I use the second phase of the structure of the Greek tragedy, corps, âme, and body, soul et spirit,
Yes.
which means the possibility to meet each of these parts of the human being. Alors, the emotion, the body, each of us, we know, so often he gets perturbations
Yes.
from the emotion.
Yeah.
And the body has its place to be able to express his emotion. And the third dimension, spirit, was the possibility to transform those emotions through a higher level to find peace. And to my greatest surprise, it worked. Then, I practiced penal mediation for a very long time for the court, and mediation has continued. But now, it has been again very much diversified. So many models, so many, and the conflict resolution, which is the Anglo-Saxon model,
Yes.
which was used before already, particularly the state in Canada, has become
dominant.
The most common
Yes. Because
way of mediation.
In the English-speaking world, there very few people know of your work, and yet in the French-speaking European world, even South America, your work is very widely known. So it's like the two sides are not talking to each other.
No, exactly. But you see, it was not for me I did not see my destiny like that. To travel through the world to spread this humanistic mediation. But in fact, I did it for quite some time, from Brazil to New Caledonia, etc.
Italy?
Yes, and a lot in Italy, because Italians are very close to roots of our literary roots, and there is a great humanity which try to express himself in the law. And I teach for so many years at the University of Milan.
Milan, yes.
In Italy, and went around.
And there are small centers that practice humanistic mediation, the mediation you developed in Italy.
Yes, it has left many traces in different countries.
And would you be able to talk a little of the concepts you use? One is very important, is the concept of the mirror in your practice. Could you explain a little, because that is perhaps something new for the English-speaking world?
Well, as mediation is not best on an intellectual scheme. It was natural to me immediately when I found myself in front of those people in conflict to reflect to them what I received. Reflect the mirror. Each morning we start to prepare ourselves in front of the mirror. The mediation was proposing a mirror to the conflict, les confligents, how do you call the people in conflict?
The people in conflict.
The people in conflict.
Yeah.
And this mirror gave the possibility to put words. Well, an example, very simple. You are telling me, in any case, you don't want to see anymore the person who is in front of you, is finished, and so on and so on. But I feel inside of you a call, something desperate, through the need to meet, encounter this person, to not to find again a relation, but perhaps, but to go further. And the mirror gives the possibility to reflect your need.
So it's a feeling that you reflect, that's something that comes to you from them speaking to each other.
Yes. I receive something which very often is not said through the words, but you tell me, I want to kill my husband. he has done things terrible to me, and so on. But I feel that behind that, it is a call to, perhaps meet again, or have, there is an expectation other, that to kill your husband.
So by finding the word, not through the intellect, through the feeling, that helps the person to unlock that suffering.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what to you is the importance of that person being heard, their suffering being felt and heard by you as the mediator?
But what is so important, it is to give a space of expression, so that little by little, all the chaos, the confusion within the person can give some fruits, in the sense, open a door to better understand the real demand. And each of us, we are looking for peace. Peace is fundamental. I can say that I want to kill you, but
will that give you
if
peace?
the situation can change.
Yeah.
But very often even the mediation is not going to change the situation, but to change the way in which I see the situation.
So you've talked about, or you do talk about, mediation is perhaps a movement from death to life, or to being even born again. What do you mean by that? How can we, the very logical English-speaking world, understand that?
But I don't think that there is any more logic at this state of our despair. When we suffer, the logic is forgotten. And it is the heart who speaks. It is the soul which is waiting for something to be able to find a branch to grip oneself, to save oneself. And the first important thing is to be able to get out of this anger, all those frustration, all this despair.
So that is like the death, being in that state all the time.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And little by little, one realizes that it is not any more useful to continue to scream and repeat very often the same thing. That there is another dimension of the person which we discover through a word, for example, that she's going to say. I need respect. Respect is not an emotion. It's a value. And we are going to open on this higher level. And, which is very interesting, is that is a common need of both sides. Each needs respect. And start an exchange on respect and so on. and a new view of the situation.
So that helps life go on. The new view helps the person to see a future, to be reborn.
Yes, but this new view of the situation is better to give more example. I take again this mediation, which was between a brother and a sister. The parents had a little shop and only a little flat with 2 rooms above the shop. And they had already one child, one boy. And when the little, the baby, this other baby was born, which means the sister of the, now of the other, they did not have room for her, and they sent him to sleep to a parents, the aunt or a cousin, somebody who was living nearby. It means that he was pushed out to live outside, but he was coming back all the time to his home, which means that he hated his little sister since her birth. Of course, she did not know that when she was born, but very quickly when she grew up, she knew that. And it means that, they were, each of them more than 70 and her 68 or something like that. They were old people already. And when they arrived to us, to the mediator, immediately they say, ever I want to see my sister again. It is the last thing. I have hated it all my life. And she was saying the same thing. Okay. It's the process of mediation, little by little, through the reality of the situation, through the discovery that there was nobody who was guilty. Their parents could not do otherwise. The event, the situation, that was created, this hell between them, which they live all their life.
Not their fault.
Oh, no. Not the fault of anybody. And to see those 2 people, this brother and this sister, at one moment, falling in the arms of one another and going away. Bras dessus, bras dessous, you don't say how you say that.
Arm in arm.
Arm in arm.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little miracle.
Yeah.
And that is a sense of mediation.
Was there something that they both shared, a value that came through the mediation that helped them realize?
But it was just an élan, it was just spontaneous. They changed their look. Yeah. They did not see the brother, the sister did not see the brother anymore like a monster. And we did not see the sister as somebody who ruined his life.
No. And then
they became aware that they were both victims of situation.
And they wanted family, they wanted
and
love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now the parents were dead, they did not have a family, and they were the only family. And this reunion. But I have so many cases, which I mention in my books and so on, which illustrate the possibility to completely transform, reverse the situation. It is not always so dramatic and clear, but so often it's extraordinary.
Oh, you've worked with some extreme,
Yes.
violent
Yes,
situations.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, with deaths and
Yes.
other things. Yeah.
And it is in a sense, I think, that this form of mediation, which is not, does not aim the resolution of the conflict, but aims at be able to give the possibility at each one to be reborn, to find innocence and life, to...
And your training emphasizes the mediators themselves learning to be
Absolutely.
reborn themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's a little challenging sometimes for the mediators, isn't it?
Yes, but you say, nothing is new. I have not invented anything. Now, if you take Greek tragedy, which started to be very alive from the 6th century BC in Greece, there was already this process which was created to help us to meet what is so painful, so difficult. It is just the application.
Jacqueline, I know we've been talking for a while now. Would you be happy if I asked you another question?
Yes.
Yeah. There is something you talk about a lot in your training and here in your beautiful environment at Binanville. You talk about verticalité, which you express beautifully in French. It's different in English a little, but can you talk a little about that concept?
But verticalité, in fact, is not a concept, it's a reality. Because man, human beings, are differentiated from animals through their verticality. It is a long story through les singes, the monkeys, through monkeys and so on. And we acquire the capacity to live through this verticality. But this verticality first is a symbol, because through our feet we are grounded, rooted in the earth. And through our head, la cime, the
skull?
No, la pointe, the top.
The crown.
The
crown?
Through our head.
Yeah.
Perhaps we try to touch heaven. And this verticality is a symbol of the journey of human being. We come from the earth. We
can't walk at the start, yeah?
Start.
Yeah.
The baby can't walk. But little by little, he's going to crawl. He's going to be desperate efforts to get up, to find this verticality, and to walk, and so on. And this verticality is a necessity for us to perhaps express the sense and the symbol of our life, which is not just scrolling, but having a relationship which goes beyond just the earth, but touch. We can say eternity. Alors all the philosophy from the time, the most ancient, have been excavating this, but also only through architecture. In Mesopotamia,
Yes.
where are the most ancient civilization, they were what they call the ziggurat. The ziggurat are pyramids with different levels.
Yes. Yes.
And they were already trying
To reach the sky.
to reach the sky.
And so I think you talk about maybe the priest in the ziggurat is like a mediator,
Yes.
trying to join
Yes.
the sky, the spirit,
Yes.
with the earth,
Absolutely.
with the human. Yeah. So do you feel that the role of a mediator is a little like that, to help people get in touch with the spirit as well as the ground?
Yes. To try to propose this possibility, to find the relation, the link, the appartenance
Belonging, the
to
yeah.
those two dimensions, and to always try to go further up. Bon, I don't say that always, today, or in the past, we are trying this ascension. I don't think that robotization of man goes in this direction.
No, some suggest it does, but
But
no.
if we keep still a little bit of humility, humus. Humus is the earth. Humus, humility, give us perhaps the right spirit to search, to go always further and further in our capacity to fulfill our humanity. And we see all the time so many people who do wonderful things. We speak a lot of the catastrophe, but so many people work and work to try always to improve, to better man life.
And can I say or ask for you, that is mediation. It is a way of life, for your whole life.
But mediation for me, I am soon 89, and I am whatever happens to me, because sometimes, like for everybody, I have problems. Life is joyful. Life is sharing this hope that we can always do better. Always we can go further to give the possibility to light, to vaincre, comment c'est tout?
Conquer,
To conquer,
overcome
or to overcome ténébris.
these shadows, the darkness. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Jacqueline. Very much appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about your very precious work. Thank you again.
But I can say that for me, it's absolutely beautiful to see how, from from here in Europe, we are in such a close contact with the other side of the world, because Australia is a little far. But it is the same heart, the same hope,
Yeah, yes,
and the same humanity.
it is. It is. We need more humanistic mediation everywhere. We do. Thank you.
Thank you to you.
Oh.